Saturn's entry into Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra on January 20th, 2026 is an important spiritual and karmic shift, especially because this entire nakshatra falls in Pisces, the sign of moksha, surrender, endings, and transcendence. Saturn in Pisces itself already brings a strong focus on isolation, emotional reality checks, spiritual discipline, and detachment from illusions. But when Saturn moves from Purva Bhadrapada into Uttara Bhadrapada, the energy becomes calmer, deeper, and far more internally transformative. This is not the kind of transit that creates sudden outer events immediately. Instead, it reshapes people from within, through time, silence, acceptance, and maturity. Uttara Bhadrapada is the nakshatra of liberation and enlightenment, often described as the actual stage that follows Purva Bhadrapada. If Purva Bhadrapada is the burning, intense stage of spiritual awakening, where karmas erupt, truths surface, and life feels dramatic, then Uttara Bhadrapada is where the soul begins to settle into wisdom. This nakshatra holds the energy of spiritual completion. It is associated with mystical experimentation, kundalini, deep meditation, and hidden realities beyond the material world. Since Saturn is the planetary ruler of this nakshatra, Saturn's transit here becomes particularly powerful, because the planet is functioning through its own terrain, meaning its results become stronger, more visible, and more karmically final. The symbolism of Uttara Bhadrapada reveals the true nature of this transit. The back legs of a funeral cot represent the journey after death, not necessarily literal death, but symbolic death, the death of ego, attachments, old identities, toxic desires, and false pride. Saturn is the planet of endings, aging, maturity, and irreversible lessons. When this planet moves through a nakshatra connected to the afterlife and liberation, many people will naturally experience the completion of long cycles. Some relationships may dissolve. Certain ambitions may lose meaning. People may become less interested in superficial attention and more drawn towards substance, truth, and inner peace. This can also produce emotional withdrawal, not as depression, but as a natural process of detachment where the soul stops chasing what no longer aligns. The second symbol, the serpent underwater, points to Kundalini energy lying dormant. Here Saturn doesn't create instant awakening, rather, it insists on preparation. Kundalini and spiritual power require purification of the body, mind, and lifestyle, something Saturn strongly represents. Therefore, Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada can give spiritual progress, but only through commitment, patience, and steady practice. People may become highly disciplined about meditation, mantra, solitude, and spiritual routines. Saturn also delays, which means many will feel that enlightenment or answers are not coming quickly. This transit teaches that awakening isn't entertainment, it's responsibility. Saturn demands that spiritual growth be earned, not imagined. The ruling deity Ahirbudnya, the water dragon or serpent of the deep ocean, is a powerful indicator that this transit will activate hidden layers of the subconscious. Pisces already rules dreams, intuition, astral realms, and psychological patterns, and Saturn here will expose buried fears, suppressed grief, and karmic emotional baggage. Many people may feel heavier emotionally, not because life is worse, but because Saturn removes escapism. This can be a time when addictions, avoidance habits, fantasy-based attachments, and emotional denial get confronted strongly. Since Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, Jupiter's condition in transit and in one's birth chart becomes an important guiding factor. Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada can make someone deeply spiritual, but without Jupiter's clarity it can also create pessimism, isolation, or excessive detachment. This is why the best way to use this transit is to balance Saturn's discipline with Jupiter's wisdom. In practical terms, this means learning under a genuine teacher, following a grounded spiritual path, avoiding extreme asceticism, and integrating spirituality into daily life rather than escaping responsibilities. On a worldly level, this transit can increase collective focus on mystical sciences, astrology, tantra, meditation, psychology, and hidden knowledge. It can also bring serious conversations about death, karma, liberation, old age, and healing. People may start seeking therapists, counselors, or spiritual mentors more actively because Uttara Bhadrapada energy naturally creates calm guidance. It is a counselor nakshatra, wise, mature, and compassionate. Saturn here can produce advisors, teachers, historians, researchers, and spiritual advocates who help others navigate darkness with patience rather than drama. Yet, Saturn remains Saturn. Even in its own nakshatra, it won't feel easy. Saturn will still test faith, relationships, and emotional endurance. Romantic life can feel dry or distant for many, especially if emotional warmth is replaced by spiritual goals or personal responsibilities. This is not necessarily negative. It simply means relationships that lack depth may struggle, while relationships built on loyalty, sincerity, and long-term purpose can become stronger than ever. Saturn filters people and situations. Uttara Bhadrapada ensures the filtering happens quietly, but permanently. Ultimately, Saturn's transit in Uttara Bhadrapada is a rare opportunity for deep karmic cleansing. It teaches that liberation isn't found in escape but in acceptance, not in intensity but in steady discipline, not in temporary highs but in lasting transformation. Think of Saturn as the planet that shows your biggest challenges, fears, and the need for discipline and hard work. Wherever Saturn is transiting, it brings changes and difficulties connected to that sign or house. It creates situations where you must be responsible, stay focused, and put in steady effort in those areas. These matters cannot be ignored or avoided. To accurately assess the impact of these transits, it is crucial to consider your ascendant and moon signs. The ascendant sign offers insights into the timing of life events, while the moon sign reveals how you will emotionally respond to these changes. Take into account the position of your current Mahadasha Lord in your birth chart, as it can shed light on how these transits will influence the recurring themes of your current Dasha period. This transit may manifest differently for each individual, and how they navigate this transit will depend on their personal charts. A more precise understanding of the impact of this transit can be gained by examining Saturn's Ashtaka Varga score in Pisces. Keep in mind that the effects of this transit are contingent on Saturn's interaction with the planets in individual birth charts. It's also worth noting that individuals currently experiencing the influence of Saturn's Dasha periods may feel the effects of this transit more intensely. To understand how this transit may affect you based on your zodiac sign and the houses it transits, let's delve into those specifics. For Aries, Saturn rules your 10th house, career, status, reputation, authority, father, and 11th house, income, gains, recognition, networks, fulfillment of desires. So, whenever Saturn changes sign or nakshatra, Aries individuals feel it strongly in practical life. Saturn is transiting Pisces in your 12th house, and as it enters Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra, this transit becomes deeply karmic and transformative. This is not a phase of loud success or quick progress. It is a period of closure, release, inner restructuring, and spiritual maturity. Your ambitions do not disappear, but they get purified. Saturn's 12th house transit is often called a closing chapter transit, and it truly works like that. The 12th house represents foreign lands, isolation, hospitals, sleep, inner healing, spirituality, endings, and moksha. It is also the house of losses and expenses, but not all losses are negative. Many are necessary so that life can move forward. When Saturn enters the 12th house, it creates a karmic audit. It starts collecting what is incomplete and dissolving what has no future. Aries individuals may feel that life is demanding them to take unfinished responsibilities seriously, whether related to career, money, relationships, health, or personal discipline. This is the time when Saturn balances the books so that when it eventually enters Aries in the future, you are ready for a new beginning. Because Saturn rules your career and gains houses, this transit strongly impacts career stability and income, but in a 12th house style. That means your success may shift away from visibility and move toward behind-the-scenes work. Many Aries individuals may start working more privately, quietly, or in environments where the work matters more than public attention. Some may move toward international industries, foreign clients, remote work, hospitals, spiritual organizations, charities, research fields, or large institutions. Even if your profession stays the same, your inner approach changes. You may stop caring about impressing others and start caring more about meaning and purpose. Saturn pushes you to evaluate whether your career path is truly aligned with your long-term growth. The most important layer is Saturn's movement into Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra. Uttara Bhadrapada is linked with liberation, spiritual transformation, mysticism, enlightenment, kundalini energy, and karmic completion. Its symbol, the back legs of a funeral cot, is not about literal death for everyone, but about the end of outdated identities. For Aries individuals, this can feel like certain desires, goals, and ambitions that once defined you suddenly lose emotional power. Aries is naturally driven and achievement-focused, but Uttara Bhadrapada teaches slow wisdom. It shows that some goals must be released not because you failed, but because you have matured beyond them. During this transit, Aries individuals can develop strong interest in spirituality, even if they were never spiritual before. Uttara Bhadrapada is a moksha nakshatra, and Saturn here makes your spiritual growth disciplined and real, not casual. You may become attracted to meditation, scriptures, mantra, pranayama, astrology, tantra, occult learning, psychology, or deeper self-healing. There can be a natural pull towards silence, isolation, and introspection. This nakshatra is also connected to Kundalini awakening, but Saturn ensures this energy rises gradually and safely. Aries people may feel spiritual progress is slow, but that slow pace actually protects you from ego traps and emotional imbalance. Since Saturn is also your 11th lord, one major theme is changing social circles. Uttara Bhadrapada has a withdrawn, observant energy. Aries individuals may naturally distance themselves from shallow friendships, gossip-based connections, or people who drain energy. You may prefer fewer but more meaningful relationships. Networking may reduce, but the connections that remain will be karmic and supportive. Some friendships may end, but it will happen for a reason. Saturn removes noise so you can hear your true direction. This can feel lonely at times, but it is preparation, not punishment. Foreign lands and relocation become important themes too. The 12th house is the strongest indicator of foreign settlement, long-distance travel, and living away from birthplace, and Saturn makes these changes serious and long-term. Many Aries individuals may relocate due to career demands, education, family responsibilities, or spiritual reasons. Even if you do not physically move, your mindset shifts. Your exposure to global culture, foreign opportunities, and international work expands. Since Saturn rules your 10th house, career can become the direct reason behind foreign movement. And because Uttara Bhadrapada is transformational, travel may not feel like leisure. It may feel like destiny and responsibility, pushing you into personal evolution. Saturn in the 12th house demands caution with health and expenses. Aries individuals must watch rising medical costs, unnecessary spending, legal expenses, travel costs, and losses caused by poor planning. This is not a transit for risky financial decisions. Saturn punishes carelessness. But it also rewards budgeting and simplicity. Aries individuals who track expenses, avoid impulsive spending, and build disciplined savings can become mentally strong and stable even during uncertain periods. Sleep and mental rest are also important. Saturn in the 12th can create fatigue, anxiety, and burnout, especially if you overwork or suppress emotions. Uttara Bhadrapada wants healing, not overstimulation. In career matters, results may come with delay, but they come with karmic clearing. Promotions, fame, and recognition may feel paused temporarily because the 12th house reduces visibility. But Aries individuals who keep working sincerely, especially in long-term projects and institutional or research-based work, will find that Saturn quietly builds a strong foundation. This is also a period when pending matters get settled. Unfinished projects, old conflicts with authority figures, delayed payments, or long-standing workplace stress can finally reach closure. Saturn will deliver final outcomes. Some will receive rewards. Others will realize a chapter is complete and must be released. Finally, Uttara Bhadrapada carries wisdom and counseling energy. Aries individuals may naturally become more patient, calm, and mature in their communication. You may guide others, mentor people, or heal others through your words and presence. This transit softens Aries' intensity and reduces reactivity. The biggest shift is internal. You learn that real success is not only achievement, but also peace, integrity, and alignment with Dharma. Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada does not just change situations. It changes priorities, and that is why this can become one of the most spiritually important transits for Aries individuals. For Taurus, Saturn rules your 9th house, Capricorn, and 10th house, Aquarius. These are the key Dharma and Karma houses that control your long-term luck, belief system, mentors, higher learning, and life direction, along with career growth, reputation, authority, status, and father-related themes. So, when Saturn changes nakshatra and activates your 11th house, the results are not only financial. They are karmic. Now Saturn is transiting Pisces in your 11th house and entering Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra, which brings a very mature, inward, and spiritually filtered energy to gains, networks, desires, and ambitions. Saturn in the 11th house is traditionally one of the best placements for long-term material success because the 11th house rules income, profits, fulfillment of desires, rewards, recognition, audience, networks, and large organizations. But Saturn never gives easy gains. It blocks shortcuts and forces you to earn everything through effort. For Taurus individuals, this transit increases the hunger for income and stability, but along with it comes pressure. Many may feel a lack of resources in the beginning, not as punishment, but as Saturn's way of creating discipline. You will be pushed to restructure goals, take money matters seriously, and build practical strategies instead of relying on luck. The most important factor is Saturn's entry into Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Uttara Bhadrapada is a moksha nakshatra connected to liberation, inner awakening, karmic release, and deeper wisdom. This is not a chase desires blindly type of energy. Even though Saturn is activating your desire and gains house, Uttara Bhadrapada purifies your desires. Taurus individuals will notice that wishes and ambitions start evolving. Some old goals you chased for years may stop feeling meaningful. Your definition of success may become more values-driven rather than ego-driven. Uttara Bhadrapada carries the symbolism of the back legs of a funeral cot, which indicates karmic closure. So, during this transit, certain friendships, long-term wishes, or ambitions can naturally end because their purpose is complete. It may feel emotional, but it will actually free you. Because Saturn rules your 9th house, the gains of this period can strongly connect with higher knowledge, ethics, teaching, mentoring, law, religion, philosophy, publishing, consulting, and long-term education-based work. Many Taurus individuals may earn through 9th house themes such as teaching others, coaching, advising, creating educational content, running training programs, or working with foreign connections. Since Saturn also rules the 10th house, this is a highly important career-building transit. Opportunities can come through networks and organizations, but Saturn will test you heavily. You will be required to show consistency, reliability, and integrity. This nakshatra does not reward superficial talent. It rewards depth and maturity. The 11th house also relates to institutions and communities, and Pisces adds themes such as hospitals, NGOs, charities, spiritual institutions, retreat spaces, healing centers, research environments, and creative industries. So, Taurus individuals may feel drawn toward meaningful work that serves people. You may want work that has purpose, not just profit. Uttara Bhadrapada carries a counselor-like vibration, so many Taurus individuals may start guiding others within their organization, friend circle, or professional community. People may naturally approach you for calm advice, emotional stability, and mature direction. But Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada also creates major reality checks in friendships and social circles. You may realize certain people are around only for benefit and convenience. Saturn will remove shallow friendships, fake networking, and opportunistic alliances. At first this can feel isolating because the 11th house usually expands social life, but Uttara Bhadrapada is selective and inward. Your circle may shrink, but the remaining people will be loyal and aligned with your long-term path. Over time, this refinement becomes one of your biggest strengths. Entrepreneurship and goal achievement can grow strongly during this transit because the 11th house rules profits and business expansion. Saturn here can absolutely help Taurus individuals scale, but only with structure. This is the period to build systems, frameworks, teams, and long-term strategies. Pisces can sometimes cause emotional decision-making and confusion in money matters, and Uttara Bhadrapada can create unrealistic hope if discipline is missing. Saturn will not support fantasy. If Taurus individuals take shortcuts, they may face delays, cash crunches, or disappointment. But if you work step by step and stay practical, Saturn in the 11th can create long-term stable wealth and reputation. Elder siblings can also become important, as the 11th house rules elder siblings. This transit can bring responsibility toward them, or concern about their health, stress, career pressure, or burdens. Taurus individuals may support them emotionally or financially. Even if you do not have elder siblings, you may deal with elder-like figures, mentors, or senior friends who need help. Uttara Bhadrapada increases compassion, so Taurus individuals may feel duty-bound to support those who are silently struggling. Since the 11th house is also the 8th from the 4th house, Saturn can create changes in home and living situations. Some Taurus individuals may relocate, renovate, or change their home environment due to career goals or financial stability. Pisces' influence can bring themes of living near water, coastal travel, or quieter, more spiritual spaces. Uttara Bhadrapada often reduces the desire for crowded environments. You may prefer calm places and less noise. Overall, Saturn's transit through Uttara Bhadrapada in the 11th house is not just about earning more. It is about earning with purpose and maturity. Taurus individuals will learn that real gains are not only money and success, but also meaningful alliances, wisdom, and inner fulfillment. Saturn will give rewards, but only after it filters your circle, matures your desires, and forces discipline and effort. By the end of this transit phase, you will not just be chasing goals. You will be building long-term legacy. For Gemini, Saturn rules your 8th house, Capricorn, and 9th house, Aquarius. These houses deal with transformation, destiny, belief systems, and past life karma. The 8th house governs sudden events, hidden fears, psychological depth, occult knowledge, inheritance, longevity, and major life shifts. The 9th house represents higher learning, gurus, law, religion, ethics, fortune, long-distance travel, and divine guidance. When such a Saturn transits your 10th house of career, authority, public reputation, status, and father, the results are never light. And when Saturn moves through Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, the transit becomes even more intense, because it focuses on maturity, responsibility, and the gradual removal of illusions around success and achievement. Saturn's transit through the 10th house is one of the most demanding phases for Gemini individuals because this is the house where your karma is visible to the world. This is where your efforts are judged, your performance is evaluated, and your role in society is measured. Saturn in the 10th brings heavy expectations, pressure, strict accountability, and long working hours. Gemini individuals may feel that life has become serious, with less room for excuses or shortcuts. Workload can increase significantly, and responsibilities may expand beyond comfort. Saturn does not create pressure without purpose. This transit forces mastery. It pushes you to build real professional strength, not temporary success. When Saturn moves into Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, the nature of this career pressure changes. Uttara Bhadrapada is not only about ambition. It is about completion, inner awakening, and karmic closure. Its symbolism, the back legs of a funeral cot, represents the final stage of a journey where something that has served its purpose must now be released. For Gemini individuals, this often shows as deep internal questioning about career direction. You may still work hard, but internally you begin to feel that certain goals no longer match who you are becoming. Some may realize that an old career path is losing meaning, even if it looks stable from the outside. Because Saturn is also your 8th lord, sudden changes are possible in professional life. These changes may not always look dramatic, but they can be powerful. Roles may shift, leadership may change, workplace structures can be redefined, and responsibility can increase unexpectedly. At times this feels unsettling, because the 8th house creates unpredictability. But Uttara Bhadrapada provides calm endurance and emotional stability. This nakshatra teaches Gemini individuals to handle pressure without panic. You may become more serious, less reactive, and far more resilient than before. Authority figures become a central theme during this transit. Saturn in the 10th house often creates stress with bosses, seniors, government systems, or institutions. Gemini individuals may feel more tested than others, as if they are under constant observation. Expectations can feel strict and sometimes unfair. But Saturn is not trying to humiliate anyone. It is testing reliability. If Gemini individuals avoid responsibility, Saturn creates delays and blocks. But if you accept duty and stay consistent, Saturn can slowly but permanently improve your reputation. This is the type of transit where you earn respect quietly through discipline. The father or father-like figures also come into focus because the 10th house represents father. Saturn may create distance, either physical or emotional. Some Gemini individuals may live away from their father due to career responsibilities. Others may feel duty toward father due to health concerns or age-related responsibilities. Uttara Bhadrapada brings karmic closure themes, so old family patterns and unresolved responsibilities may surface. This does not always indicate loss, but it does demand maturity. Gemini individuals may be required to step into a more responsible family role. Public image becomes extremely sensitive under Saturn in the 10th. Gemini individuals may feel that even one mistake can damage years of effort. Saturn demands consistency, honesty, and long-term reliability. Uttara Bhadrapada strips illusions around fame and status. It ensures that recognition must come through real substance, not appearance. This is not a transit for shortcuts, image building, or chasing attention. Reputation is built slowly through serious work. Some Gemini individuals may feel invisible despite effort, but Saturn ensures what is built now will last long after the transit ends. Since Saturn also rules the 9th house, this transit reshapes belief systems around success, authority, and destiny. Gemini individuals may question mentors, institutions, or philosophies that previously guided them. You may feel disillusioned with certain teachers or systems. But this is not loss of faith. It is refinement. Uttara Bhadrapada is deeply spiritual, and many Gemini individuals may become drawn toward astrology, psychology, meditation, occult studies, or philosophical learning, even while continuing professional growth. Saturn also aspects the 7th house, which intensifies relationship and partnership karma. The 7th house governs marriage, business partnerships, clients, and public dealings. Gemini individuals may feel strain in relationships due to career pressure, long work hours, emotional withdrawal, or shifting priorities. Partnerships require maturity. Weak or imbalanced relationships can feel heavy. Strong relationships can become stabilizing support systems. Since the 7th house is also directly connected to the 10th house, career stress and relationship stress can trigger each other. Balance becomes essential, otherwise Saturn forces it through circumstances. A career change or major role transition is possible during this transit, especially if the current work lacks meaning or ethical alignment. Uttara Bhadrapada supports careers connected to counseling, teaching, healing, research, advisory roles, and behind-the-scenes responsibility. Even within corporate or government careers, Gemini individuals may shift into more strategic, guiding, or managerial roles rather than performance-based roles. Overall, Saturn's transit through Uttara Bhadrapada in the 10th house becomes a karmic purification of career and authority for Gemini individuals. It does not destroy ambition, but it matures it. It teaches that true success is not applause. It is integrity, discipline, and endurance. Gemini individuals who stay ethical, work patiently, and take responsibility seriously will emerge with stronger career foundations, deeper wisdom, and a clearer sense of purpose. For Cancer, Saturn rules your 7th house, Capricorn, and 8th house, Aquarius. These are two powerful houses connected to partnership karma, emotional maturity, transformation, hidden realities, and life-changing events. The 7th house governs marriage, spouse, long-term relationships, business partnerships, and public dealings. The 8th house rules sudden events, mysteries, fear patterns, trauma healing, occult knowledge, deep psychological shifts, inheritance, and longevity. Now, as Saturn transits Pisces in your 9th house and enters Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, this becomes a major turning transit for Cancer individuals because it reshapes your belief system, destiny path, and relationship with faith, while also testing marriage and partnership stability from the root. The 9th house represents Dharma, higher purpose, ethics, spiritual direction, teachers, religion, philosophy, law, long-distance travel, and blessings from past life merit. When Saturn enters the 9th house, it makes these themes serious. Cancer individuals may feel that life is forcing them to become more realistic and mature about beliefs. Saturn does not support blind faith or empty rituals. It demands practical spirituality, discipline, and a belief system that improves your character. This transit can bring questioning, spiritual restructuring, and emotional evolution. You may stop believing in what you once accepted without doubt, while gaining deeper respect for authentic wisdom and experience-based truth. The entry into Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra makes this transit even deeper. Uttara Bhadrapada is a moksha nakshatra connected to liberation, enlightenment, mystical practice, kundalini processes, inner completion, and karmic closure. Its symbol, the back legs of a funeral cot, represents the final stage of a journey, meaning the end of an old identity and the beginning of a more mature spiritual state. During Saturn's movement here, Cancer individuals may feel their worldview changing from within. You may realize that some beliefs were inherited from family or society, but never truly lived by you. Saturn's job is to remove borrowed philosophies and help you build your own dharma based on discipline, lived experience, and maturity. A major result of this transit is a strong pull toward higher learning and spiritual education. Many Cancer individuals may start reading deeply about philosophy, scriptures, karma, psychology, meditation, tantra, astrology, and mystical traditions. Pisces already increases imagination and spiritual sensitivity, and Uttara Bhadrapada pushes the mind toward hidden truths. This learning will not be for entertainment. It will be for self-healing and deeper understanding of life's suffering and transformation. Some Cancer individuals may enroll in higher education or professional learning, especially if it supports long-term career growth. Saturn's influence makes one thing clear: success comes only through hard work. Students will be tested through discipline, mental endurance, and consistency. No shortcuts will work during this period. Saturn in the 9th house also impacts gurus and teachers. Cancer individuals may find an old, wise mentor, someone experienced, disciplined, and deeply grounded. But this transit can also bring disappointment with certain teachers or belief systems. Saturn exposes false gurus, superficial mentors, and philosophies built on fear or blind devotion. Cancer individuals may start questioning religions and traditions more boldly. This can create stress in family or community if your background is rigid. Uttara Bhadrapada supports truth-seeking, so questioning is part of the karmic process. The key is balance. Saturn can create harshness, while Pisces can create emotional intensity, so Cancer individuals should remain respectful and open-minded while exploring different viewpoints. Long-distance travel is strongly indicated. The 9th house represents far journeys, and Pisces represents sacred waters, spiritual places, retreats, and isolated destinations. Saturn makes travel purposeful rather than casual. Cancer individuals may travel for higher studies, spiritual practice, temple visits, pilgrimages, retreats, or meeting people of different cultures. Saturn can bring delays or obstacles in travel, and sometimes health-related discomfort, but these journeys can become life-changing. Uttara Bhadrapada suggests travel may change more than your location. It can change your mindset, your belief system, and your relationship with destiny. At the same time, since Saturn rules your 7th house, marriage and partnerships remain deeply impacted throughout the transit. Saturn in the 9th can create ideological distance between partners. Cancer individuals may feel their values and life direction changing, while the spouse may not evolve at the same pace. This can create misunderstandings, emotional coldness, and relationship stress. In unstable relationships, karmic tests can intensify. But in strong relationships, this transit can mature the bond, making the couple more disciplined, responsible, and spiritually aligned. Business partnerships also get tested. Since the 9th house relates to law and ethics, contracts and commitments must be handled carefully. Another important theme comes from Saturn's 8th house lordship. Since Saturn rules your 8th house, its movement through the 9th can trigger belief-changing sudden events. Something unexpected can happen that forces Cancer individuals to rethink their philosophy of life. This could be a personal crisis, betrayal, loss, major transition, or a powerful mystical experience. Uttara Bhadrapada's link to transformation and Kundalini energy shows that spiritual breakthroughs are possible, but often through hardship. Saturn does not give enlightenment through comfort. It gives wisdom through endurance. So, if challenges arise, they are not punishment. They are karmic purification pushing you toward emotional strength and deeper inner stability. Career stress is also possible because the 9th house is the 12th from the 10th house, showing reduced recognition, loss of authority, or dissatisfaction with leadership at work. Cancer individuals may feel unsupported by bosses or face pressure from authority figures. Promotions may get delayed. In some cases, corporate job satisfaction reduces and the mind shifts toward education, consulting, healing, spiritual fields, or independent work aligned with meaning. This slowing down is not permanent failure. It is Saturn redirecting your long-term direction. Overall, Saturn's transit through Uttara Bhadrapada in the 9th house is a major karmic turning point for Cancer individuals. It matures faith, deepens wisdom, and breaks illusions around gurus, religion, destiny, and personal belief systems. It also tests marriage and partnerships through values and ethics. By the end of this transit phase, many Cancer individuals will feel more emotionally grounded and spiritually evolved. This is a quiet liberation transit where the soul releases what it no longer needs and walks toward truth with patience, realism, and inner strength. For Leo, Saturn rules your 6th house, Capricorn, and 7th house, Aquarius. The 6th house represents daily work routine, competition, disputes, debts, obstacles, disease, service, and perseverance. The 7th house governs marriage, spouse, partnerships, business, public dealings, and long-term commitments. Now, when Saturn transits through Pisces in your 8th house, and specifically enters Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, it becomes one of the most transformative phases for Leo individuals. This is not a comfortable transit, but it can be extremely powerful because the 8th house is where life forces evolution through change, endings, hidden truths, and deep psychological cleansing. Saturn's 8th house transit often feels like an internal rebirth. Leo naturally wants strong identity, respect, and clarity in direction, but the 8th house removes certainty and forces surrender. Saturn here can bring sudden shifts, unexpected responsibilities, and moments where you must face what you have avoided. It can expose hidden fears, emotional baggage, and long-standing attachments. This transit demands maturity at a deep level. You may not be able to carry ego patterns or emotional insecurity the way you used to. The 8th house brings transformation, and Saturn makes it permanent, not temporary. The most important factor here is Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Uttara Bhadrapada is not only about crisis. It is about the liberation that comes after crisis. It represents the stage of spiritual completion after the intense burning of Purva Bhadrapada. Its symbol, the back legs of a funeral cot, shows karmic endings. Something reaches its closure, and the soul becomes lighter. For Leo individuals, this transit may end a chapter connected to fear, dependency, hidden emotional wounds, and complicated entanglements in relationships or finances. The 8th house teaches surrender, and Uttara Bhadrapada ensures this surrender becomes spiritual and healing, not merely stressful. Because Saturn rules your 6th house, the transit strongly affects health, routine, stress levels, and work pressure. Saturn in the 8th can create hidden stress that builds slowly, so Leo individuals must not ignore warning signs in the body. Health issues may not be dramatic, but they can turn chronic if lifestyle is careless. Discipline becomes your protection. Sleep, digestion, hormonal health, anxiety, inflammation, and fatigue need serious attention. Saturn demands structure, and the 8th house represents vulnerability, so prevention becomes the smartest approach. If Leo individuals take responsibility early, Saturn can actually build stronger long-term resilience. Since Saturn is also your 7th lord, relationship and marriage karma becomes a major theme. Saturn in the 8th can bring emotional distance, dissatisfaction, or pressure in marriage because the 8th house rules intimacy, trust, shared resources, and deeper bonding. Leo individuals may experience ego clashes with spouse or in-laws, misunderstandings due to secrecy or emotional withdrawal, and a heavy relationship atmosphere. This does not always mean separation, but it does mean the relationship becomes karmic and serious, full of responsibilities and truth-revealing moments. Weak bonds can crack under pressure. Strong bonds can transform and deepen through maturity, patience, and honest communication. Uttara Bhadrapada also shows that relationships based only on attraction struggle, while relationships based on loyalty and emotional depth can rebuild stronger. Business partnerships also require caution. Saturn in the 8th often exposes hidden issues such as unequal effort, unclear finances, manipulation, or miscommunication. Leo individuals must handle contracts carefully and stay transparent with money matters. This is not a time to rely on blind trust. If something is built on illusion, Saturn will break it. But if something is built on discipline, ethics, and clear agreements, Saturn can strengthen it. Uttara Bhadrapada adds karmic cleansing, meaning partnerships may not end randomly. They end because their purpose is complete. A strong and positive theme of this transit is deep research and occult learning. The 8th house rules astrology, tantra, mantra, mysticism, kundalini, psychology, healing, surgery, and hidden knowledge. Uttara Bhadrapada is one of the most mystical nakshatras, linked to kundalini awakening and spiritual liberation. Leo individuals may feel drawn toward these subjects seriously, not casually. This is one of the best phases to study astrology, meditation, psychology, healing modalities, or any research-based field. Intuition can become sharper, dreams more intense, and inner guidance stronger. But Saturn here demands discipline. It does not support fantasy spirituality or ego-driven desire for powers. If Leo individuals approach spiritual learning with humility and consistency, deep inner growth is possible. Sudden events and unexpected changes are also important. The 8th house is unpredictable, and Saturn adds karmic weight. Transformations may occur in career, finances, relationships, or living situation. Some Leo individuals may face changes linked to inheritance, insurance, taxes, loans, partner's income, or family responsibilities. Others may change career path after a hidden truth becomes clear. Saturn ensures that changes feel destined. Even if uncomfortable at first, they bring long-term stability once adjustment is complete. Uttara Bhadrapada indicates that these shifts ultimately guide you toward a more spiritually aligned path, not an ego-driven one. Because the 8th house is also connected to accidents and injuries, Leo individuals must be careful about driving, speed, machines, risky behavior, and impulsive decisions. Saturn does not create fear, but it demands caution. Respecting Saturn reduces risk. Water-related travel and careless commuting should be avoided when possible. Surgeries and medical procedures can be part of this transit, sometimes for healing purposes, but Saturn demands patience, correct diagnosis, and proper professional guidance. Overall, Saturn's transit through Uttara Bhadrapada in the 8th house becomes a powerful karmic purification for Leo individuals. It transforms emotional patterns, health habits, relationship dynamics, financial responsibilities, and life direction. It can feel heavy because it breaks illusions around control, ego, and security. But it also gives a rare gift, deeper emotional strength, spiritual maturity, and inner wisdom. By the end of this phase, many Leo individuals will feel like they went through a quiet rebirth. Outer life may look similar, but the inner self becomes calmer, stronger, and far more awakened. For Virgo, Saturn rules your 5th house, Capricorn, and 6th house, Aquarius. The 5th house governs education, intelligence, creativity, romance, emotional expression, children, mantra, and past life merit. The 6th house relates to work routines, service, competition, disputes, debts, obstacles, enemies, and health matters. Now, as Saturn moves through Pisces in your 7th house and enters Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, this transit becomes a defining phase for Virgo individuals, especially in relationships and partnerships. This is not a light or romantic transit. It is a maturity transit, where your bonds are tested for sincerity, depth, and long-term stability. The 7th house represents the other side of life, your spouse, marriage, business partnerships, clients, contracts, and public dealing. Saturn's transit in the 7th often works like a karmic checkpoint. It does not always break relationships, but it always removes illusion. Relationship matters become heavier. Duties increase, compromises become unavoidable, and emotional expectations rise. The carefree energy reduces and seriousness enters. This is especially important because Saturn also rules your 5th house of romance, meaning romance itself goes through Saturn's filtering. Love becomes practical, realistic, and responsibility-oriented. If a bond is weak or ego-based, it becomes stressful. If a bond is strong, Saturn can make it stable and unbreakable. The nakshatra influence makes a big difference. Uttara Bhadrapada is a deeply spiritual nakshatra connected to liberation, enlightenment, kundalini energy, inner detachment, and karmic completion. It does not support superficial attraction or temporary pleasure. Its symbol, the back legs of a funeral cot, represents karmic closure and the maturity that follows. So, when Saturn transits Uttara Bhadrapada in your 7th house, relationships stop being entertainment and become lessons. Your bond with your partner may test your patience, humility, emotional endurance, and spiritual outlook. This can feel uncomfortable at times, but it is also life-changing because it pushes you toward deeper emotional truth and healthier partnership patterns. One of the strongest results of Saturn in the 7th is delay, stress, and responsibility in marriage matters. Virgo individuals who are unmarried may feel delays in finding the right match. Or they may attract partners who are older, mature, serious, and responsibility-driven. Saturn brings real partners, not fantasy lovers. Relationships can develop slowly, but what begins now has long-term potential if both people stay committed. For Virgo individuals already in a relationship, Saturn triggers reality check conversations. Issues that were ignored earlier can surface. Ego clashes are possible, especially because Virgo tends to analyze and correct, while Pisces tends to feel, flow, and avoid harsh confrontation. Saturn adds rigidity, so misunderstandings can happen if emotions are not handled gently and respectfully. Business partnerships become a major theme too. The 7th house governs alliances, contracts, and partnership-based growth. Saturn here can support business expansion, but only with planning and discipline. This is a good time to build long-term client networks and serious business commitments. At the same time, Saturn does not allow loose agreements or blind trust. Virgo individuals must be careful with contracts, profit sharing, responsibilities, and legal details. Uttara Bhadrapada can bring hidden truths to the surface, so weak partnerships can get exposed. But ethical partnerships can become stronger, giving stable results over time. Since Saturn also rules your 6th house, relationship conflict and disputes may become more visible. Small misunderstandings can turn into prolonged arguments if handled with ego. Conflicts with spouses' family, separation discussions, or legal disputes can arise if Saturn's lessons are resisted. This is why Saturn in the 7th demands maturity. Virgo individuals may have to learn to stop proving they are right and start protecting the relationship. Your words can become too sharp, too logical, or emotionally dry under stress. Uttara Bhadrapada teaches compassion and inner calm. So, Virgo individuals benefit greatly from spirituality, counseling, prayer, meditation, or self-reflection. Inner peace becomes a survival tool, not a luxury. Uttara Bhadrapada also changes what you seek in partnership. Virgo individuals may start wanting deeper emotional and spiritual connection rather than only practical compatibility. Some may feel temporarily detached from romance, not because love is unwanted, but because the soul seeks meaning. You may stop wanting relationships just to avoid loneliness. You may want a bond that adds value mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. That is Uttara Bhadrapada's effect. It transforms desire into depth. Long-distance relationship themes are also possible. This can happen through travel, relocation, work pressure, or emotional distance created by duties. Saturn can create separation due to responsibility. Many Virgo individuals may find that giving space to each other reduces conflict and improves harmony. If handled maturely, distance can strengthen loyalty. If handled emotionally, it can create insecurity. Saturn demands trust, stability, and maturity, not drama. Because Saturn also rules the 5th house, it impacts children, pregnancy, creativity, and romance. Virgo individuals who want children may experience delays or require disciplined planning. Parents may need to take greater responsibility for children's education, health, or emotional support. Creative fields also go through a serious phase. Inspiration may feel low in the beginning, but Saturn rewards disciplined practice. Uttara Bhadrapada supports creativity that heals or uplifts, such as writing, teaching, counseling, spiritual content, music, and mantra-based creative work. Overall, Saturn's transit through Uttara Bhadrapada in the 7th house is a major karmic turning point for Virgo individuals. It tests relationships, purifies partnerships, and matures the way you love. It may feel heavy because Saturn demands responsibility and destroys illusion. But if Virgo individuals learn the key Uttara Bhadrapada lesson, letting go of ego and choosing truth, relationships can become stronger, more meaningful, and spiritually aligned. By the end of this transit, you will not just have a relationship. You will have a karmic bond built through patience, realism, and inner growth. For Libra, Saturn rules 2 important houses, the 4th house, Capricorn, and the 5th house, Aquarius. The 4th house governs home, mother, emotional peace, comfort, property, vehicles, and your inner stability. The 5th house represents education, intelligence, creativity, romance, children, speculation, mantra, and past life blessings. Now, as Saturn transits Pisces in your 6th house and enters Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, Libra individuals enter a highly practical phase where life becomes responsibility-heavy and focused on real-world issues like work routine, health, conflict management, and overcoming obstacles. This is not a transit of comfort. It is a transit where you become stronger through discipline, service, and long-term effort. The 6th house is challenging but powerful. It rules competition, debts, disputes, disease, enemies, legal matters, and the daily grind of work life. Saturn's presence here increases pressure but also gives the strength to defeat obstacles. For Libra individuals, focus shifts away from emotional comfort and relationship sweetness, and moves toward fixing what is broken in day-to-day life. Saturn forces you to become disciplined with routine, time management, health habits, sleep, diet, and responsibilities. The biggest gift of Saturn in the 6th is resilience. It teaches you to fight smart with patience and endurance instead of reacting emotionally. If Libra individuals accept Saturn's discipline, this transit can make them hardworking, stable, and unstoppable over time. The nakshatra influence makes this transit far deeper. Uttara Bhadrapada is not only about struggle. It is about liberation through discipline, awakening through hardship, and closure of karmic chapters. It is connected to moksha, kundalini, mystical wisdom, and transformation beyond ego. Its symbol, the back legs of a funeral cot, represents detachment after an ending. In the 6th house, this becomes very meaningful. Libra individuals are pushed to detach from toxic routines, unhealthy habits, unnecessary conflicts, draining people, and emotional indulgence that weakens discipline. This transit works like spiritual purification through everyday challenges. It teaches you that growth happens through small daily effort, not only through big spiritual moments. Because Saturn rules your 4th house, this transit can disturb inner peace. Libra individuals may feel mentally burdened, stressed, or emotionally restless, especially when work conflict increases. The 4th house wants comfort, but Saturn in the 6th demands struggle. Home responsibilities can rise. Mother-related concerns may increase, either through health, stress, or emotional distance. Property matters such as repairs, relocation pressures, tenant issues, or paperwork can also become important. The deeper lesson is emotional strength. Saturn teaches you to build peace even when life is demanding. You cannot wait for comfort first. You must create stability through discipline. Since Saturn also rules your 5th house, romance and love life get affected. This is not a strong transit to start a new relationship because Saturn in the 6th can bring conflict, testing, and dryness in emotions. Romantic matters may feel delayed or stressful. Ego clashes can happen, and Libra individuals may feel unsupported, while partners may feel Libra has become too critical or too practical. Saturn reduces sweetness and increases realism. In existing relationships, this transit demands adjustment and maturity. Distance can increase due to work pressure, health issues, or travel. Long-distance relationship themes may appear, sometimes for practical reasons. In some cases, distance can actually protect the bond by reducing unnecessary arguments until the pressure eases. Disputes and conflicts are a key theme. Libra individuals may face challenges with colleagues, employees, competitors, or daily interactions. The 6th house represents enemies, but Saturn here may not create open enemies. It often creates cold competition, power struggles, and constant testing of patience. People may push boundaries. Since Libra is naturally diplomatic, this can feel exhausting. But Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada teaches Libra individuals to set boundaries. It teaches you when to negotiate and when to stand firm. You must stop being overly accommodating. You must become fair but strong. This is also why this transit is excellent for legal themes, making it a powerful period for lawyers, compliance work, HR disputes, audits, contracts, and corporate discipline. Health becomes a major focus. Saturn in the 6th brings chronic issues if ignored, especially related to bones, joints, teeth, digestion, fatigue, stress disorders, and long-term lifestyle imbalance. Pisces influence can add hormonal imbalances, sleep problems, water retention, feed-related issues, anxiety, and psychosomatic symptoms. Uttara Bhadrapada adds a spiritual angle. It teaches that the body becomes a temple that must be purified. Libra individuals must take disciplined care of health. Small lifestyle changes can create big improvements. Meditation, therapy, detox routines, clean diet, and spiritual grounding become highly protective. Because Uttara Bhadrapada is linked to Kundalini energy, sensitivity can increase, meaning stress and negativity affect you more strongly. So, inner cleansing and mental calm become essential. Work life becomes intense. Saturn in the 6th increases responsibility, workload, and pressure in routine. Libra individuals may feel overworked, underappreciated, or stuck in repetitive tasks. But Saturn also creates mastery. If you accept hard work and improve your skills, Saturn can give long-term professional stability. You may become highly skilled in areas that require patience and process: law, auditing, accounting, compliance, medicine, service industries, healing work, dispute management, and operations roles. Uttara Bhadrapada also supports counseling and healing energies, so Libra individuals may find themselves solving other people's problems more than usual. A major positive result is the ability to defeat obstacles. Saturn in the 6th gives power to overcome enemies, win legal battles, repay debts, and break negative patterns. It also supports learning. Since Saturn rules the fifth house of education, Libra individuals may gain new qualifications, especially in medicine, law, psychology, spirituality, healing, or job-related training. This is a strong time to develop practical knowledge that increases career stability. Even spiritual knowledge becomes practical here. Uttara Bhadrapada gives the wisdom to clear obstacles not only for yourself, but also for others. Most importantly, this transit destroys illusions around the sixth house. Libra individuals must face reality in work culture, health habits, competition, and daily routine. You cannot maintain false peace by ignoring problems. Saturn forces you to confront reality and build stronger foundations. This transit may not feel easy, but it is empowering. By the end of Saturn's stay in Uttara Bhadrapada, Libra individuals will feel sharper, healthier, more disciplined, and far more capable. For Scorpio, Saturn rules your third house, Capricorn, and fourth house, Aquarius. The third house governs effort, courage, skills, communication, writing, business initiative, marketing, siblings, and self-made success. The fourth house represents home, mother, emotional peace, inner security, stability, property, and the foundations of life. Now, as Saturn transits Pisces in your fifth house and enters Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, this becomes a serious karmic phase where intellect, creativity, romance, education, children, and life direction evolve through discipline and maturity. This is not a casual transit. Saturn reshapes the mind slowly, deeply, and permanently. The fifth house is important for Scorpio individuals because it rules education, intelligence, creativity, romance, emotional expression, children, mantra, spiritual merit, and speculation. When Saturn enters the fifth house, playfulness reduces and responsibility increases. Romance may feel less exciting, while learning, long-term planning, and responsibility toward children become stronger themes. Scorpio individuals may feel less interested in entertainment and more focused on building something meaningful. Saturn does not destroy joy, but it delays pleasure and replaces it with purpose and long-term value. The nakshatra influence makes this transit much deeper. Uttara Bhadrapada is a moksha nakshatra connected with liberation, enlightenment, kundalini awakening, mystical practices, and karmic completion. Its symbol, the back legs of a funeral cot, represents the stage after an ending, where attachments are released. When Saturn moves through Uttara Bhadrapada in your fifth house, the mind becomes serious, introspective, and spiritually hungry. Scorpio individuals may lose interest in surface-level knowledge and start seeking depth, truth, and mastery. This transit pushes you to go beyond curiosity and commit fully to learning and inner growth. This is an excellent period for education and skill building, especially in fields that demand patience and deep thinking. Scorpio individuals may feel drawn towards psychology, research, occult sciences, astrology, meditation, healing, philosophy, or spiritually meaningful creative work. Uttara Bhadrapada supports mystical knowledge, and Saturn provides the discipline to study consistently. Even those not previously inclined towards spirituality may start questioning life's deeper meaning. For students, this transit brings pressure and workload, but also the ability to succeed through consistency. Saturn rewards effort, not shortcuts. Since Saturn rules the third house, communication and effort-based work become productive. Scorpio individuals may begin serious writing projects, teaching, structured content creation, or skill-based ventures. Your communication style may become mature, calm, and impactful. Uttara Bhadrapada adds emotional depth, so your words can carry healing energy. People may naturally approach you for advice or guidance, as this nakshatra carries the energy of wise mentorship. Romance becomes a sensitive area. Saturn in the fifth house often creates emotional distance or dissatisfaction in love life. Relationships may feel heavy or responsibility-driven rather than spontaneous. Existing relationships may go through phases of emotional withdrawal or on and off dynamics. New relationships may develop slowly and karmically, often with mature or older partners. Uttara Bhadrapada does not support superficial romance. Love based only on desire may feel empty, while love based on loyalty and understanding can deepen over time. Children and parenthood also come into focus. Scorpio individuals with children may become more involved in their education, discipline, or emotional development. Saturn can bring concern, making parents invest extra time and resources. Some may take loans or make long-term plans for children's future. those planning children may face delays or require patience and proper planning. Saturn does not deny, but it demands responsibility and correct timing. A very important prediction is the effect of Saturn on creative expression. The fifth house is creativity, and Saturn here can initially reduce inspiration. Scorpio individuals may feel blocked or unable to express freely. Saturn pushes creativity into structure. So, artists, writers, musicians, and creators may produce less quantity but more quality. This is an excellent period to master a creative craft seriously and build a long-term creative career. Uttara Bhadrapada adds spiritual creativity, creative work that heals, transforms, and brings deeper meaning to people. You may feel drawn to themes like mysticism, transformation, karma, psychology, death rebirth symbolism, or spiritual awakening in your creative output. Since the fifth house is also the eighth from the 10th house, this transit can indicate career transformation. Scorpio individuals may feel that their career direction is evolving. You may start developing a new specialization, a new skill set, or a new purpose. Some may shift careers toward education, research, creativity, healing, spirituality, or counseling fields. Saturn ruling the fourth house also indicates that work may become home-oriented, remote work, home-based business, or working from a private environment where focus and discipline are high. This is a strong transit for building something quietly behind the scenes, which later becomes a long-term source of stability. Speculative finances require caution. Saturn in the fifth reduces luck-based gains and punishes impulsive decisions. Gambling or risky investments should be avoided. This is a strong period for research-based, long-term investing. Uttara Bhadrapada supports intuitive intelligence, but Saturn demands discipline and realism. Most importantly, this transit removes illusions around joy, love, creativity, and intelligence. Scorpio individuals may realize what truly fulfills them and what was only temporary excitement. Uttara Bhadrapada's deeper purpose is liberation. Saturn here teaches detachment from ego-based validation. You stop seeking applause and start seeking truth. Intelligence turns into wisdom. Overall, Saturn's transit through Uttara Bhadrapada in the fifth house is a powerful karmic period for Scorpio individuals. Romance may feel heavy, but education and skill building flourish. Creativity becomes disciplined. Children and responsibilities demand maturity. Career direction transforms quietly. And above all, Scorpio individuals develop deeper spiritual intelligence. By the end of this transit, you may not be more playful, but you will be more wise, more focused, and far more aligned with your soul's higher path. For Sagittarius, Saturn rules your second house, Capricorn, and third house, Aquarius. The second house governs wealth, savings, speech, family values, food habits, and financial stability, while the third house represents effort, courage, communication, writing, skills, business initiatives, siblings, and short travels. When Saturn transits Pisces in your fourth house and enters Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, life turns inward. This is not a highly outward or achievement-focused transit. Instead, it reshapes your emotional foundation, your sense of security, and your relationship with home, mother, and inner peace. Comfort is tested so emotional maturity can develop. The fourth house is the house of the heart. It represents home, mother, emotional stability, peace of mind, roots, homeland, property, vehicles, and inner happiness. Saturn's transit here often feels heavy because Saturn brings responsibility and restriction, while the fourth house seeks warmth and comfort. Sagittarius individuals may feel that peace of mind becomes harder to maintain. Responsibilities related to home can increase, emotional burdens may rise, and inner restlessness can surface. Even when things look fine externally, you may feel unsettled internally. Saturn creates this discomfort deliberately, forcing you to redefine peace. Instead of comfort-based happiness, Saturn pushes you toward emotional strength and self-reliance. The influence of Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra makes this transit deeply karmic and spiritual. Uttara Bhadrapada is linked to liberation, detachment, enlightenment, and the completion of karmic cycles. Its symbol, the back legs of a funeral cot, represents the phase after an ending, when attachments loosen and transformation begins. With Saturn moving through this nakshatra in your fourth house, Sagittarius individuals may experience a deep shift in emotional priorities. Old emotional dependencies, childhood conditioning, family expectations, and inherited patterns may begin to release. You may realize that much of your stress comes from clinging to an idea of home or family that no longer matches reality. This transit teaches emotional independence. Because Saturn rules your second house, family and finances are strongly tied to this transit. Family responsibilities can increase, especially involving elders. You may feel duty-bound to support family stability even at the cost of your own comfort. Financial decisions related to home, property, renovation, or long-term security become important. Saturn represents construction and permanence, so this transit can support buying property, land, or investing in long-term assets. Progress is slow. Delays, paperwork, legal steps, and financial discipline are part of the process. Saturn does not deny stability, but it demands patience and responsibility before granting it. The mother becomes a central theme. Saturn in the fourth can bring concern related to the mother's health, emotional state, or responsibilities. Some Sagittarius individuals may need to care for their mother due to age or illness. Others may feel emotionally distant from her, even while living together. Saturn creates emotional reserve rather than lack of love. In some cases, Sagittarius individuals may live away from their mother due to career or life demands. Uttara Bhadrapada adds karmic depth, meaning unresolved emotional patterns with the mother may surface so they can be healed through acceptance and maturity. Relocation or change of residence is also possible. Saturn in the fourth can indicate living away from homeland, moving to a quieter or more isolated environment, or feeling more peaceful away from familiar places. Even without physical movement, the emotional atmosphere of the home may change. The living environment can feel restricted, serious, or minimal. This is not a phase of luxury. It is a phase of simplification. Uttara Bhadrapada supports minimalism, detachment, and emotional sobriety. Sagittarius individuals may lose interest in excess possessions or decor and feel more drawn toward solitude and inner reflection. Since Saturn also rules the third house, communication within the home may become limited or serious. Sagittarius individuals may speak less, withdraw emotionally, or become very selective with words. Conversations can feel duty-oriented rather than expressive. Short travels may reduce, and you may prefer staying indoors or working privately. This transit is excellent for home-based work. Writing, teaching, counseling, research, spiritual guidance, or disciplined independent work can flourish when done from a quiet environment. Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada supports meaningful, behind-the-scenes effort. The fourth house is 12th from the fifth, so interest in romance, pleasure, and entertainment may reduce. Sagittarius individuals may feel emotionally detached from love matters for a while. Children may go away for education or career reasons, creating emotional distance. Parents may worry about children, but Saturn here teaches trust in the karmic process. This is not loss. It is transition. Uttara Bhadrapada reminds you that love transforms even when physical closeness changes. Peace of mind becomes both the biggest challenge and the biggest lesson. Sagittarius naturally seeks optimism and meaning, but Saturn in the fourth can bring emotional heaviness, nostalgia, or loneliness. Uttara Bhadrapada helps by encouraging surrender and inner grounding. Sagittarius individuals may find peace through meditation, prayer, solitude, routine, and spiritual reflection rather than through external comfort. This transit can teach you that being alone does not mean being unhappy. It matures your emotional world and builds quiet strength. Health needs attention, especially emotional and mental health. Saturn in the fourth can show chest-related issues, breathing discomfort, sleep problems, anxiety, or stress held in the body. Pisces influence can add fatigue, water retention, or emotional sensitivity. Uttara Bhadrapada reminds you that unresolved emotions manifest physically. One of the most important outcomes of this transit is the destruction of illusions around home and emotional security. Saturn teaches Sagittarius individuals that peace cannot come from a place, a person, or a situation alone. Emotional dependence is replaced by inner stability. This can feel uncomfortable at first, but it is deeply liberating. By the end of this transit, many Sagittarius individuals will feel emotionally calmer, more mature, and less reactive. Overall, Saturn's transit through Uttara Bhadrapada in the fourth house is a karmic cleansing of the heart. It restructures emotional foundations, tests attachment to home and family, and pushes you toward inner independence. Comfort may reduce temporarily, but wisdom increases. Peace may feel distant at first, but once Saturn's lessons settle, it becomes steady and unshakable. For Capricorn, Saturn is your most personal planet. It rules your first house, shaping your identity, physical body, confidence, life direction, karma, and decision-making. Saturn also rules your second house, Aquarius, which governs wealth, savings, family responsibilities, speech, food habits, and long-term financial stability. So, when Saturn changes its zone, Capricorn individuals feel it strongly, not only through outer events but also as inner transformation. Now, as Saturn transits Pisces in your third house and enters Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, it begins a powerful phase of effort-based growth, skill building, and karmic restructuring of courage, communication, and self-made success. The third house is the house of initiative. It represents willpower, courage, daily efforts, communication, writing, marketing, skills, short travels, siblings, and the ability to build results through your own effort. Saturn in the third house gives one clear message: no shortcuts. It forces consistency, discipline, and seriousness. This transit can feel slow in the beginning because Saturn tests perseverance. Capricorn individuals may feel like they are working harder than others for the same results. But Saturn is building something deeper here: long-term strength, mental endurance, and the ability to create success through determination, not luck. The defining influence is Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Uttara Bhadrapada is deeply spiritual and connected to liberation, enlightenment, inner wisdom, Kundalini energy, discipline, and karmic completion. Its symbol, the back legs of a funeral cot, represents release after endings. In your third house, this creates a powerful internal shift. Capricorn individuals may detach from old fears, hesitation, and limiting communication patterns. You may start thinking, speaking, and acting differently, with more maturity and purpose. This is not loud confidence, it is quiet strength. You become less reactive and more grounded in your expression. One of the biggest outcomes is skill mastery and knowledge building. Capricorn individuals may become strongly focused on collecting information, researching new fields, and building competence in communication-driven work. Writing, speaking, coaching, counseling, teaching, marketing, sales, and content creation can become central themes, especially if connected to spiritual, psychological, educational, or advisory work. Uttara Bhadrapada makes communication meaningful, not shallow. Saturn ensures credibility comes only through practice and consistent effort. If you are building a personal brand or a communication-based career, this can become a strong foundation period. Since Saturn also rules your second house of wealth and speech, your voice becomes a karmic tool. Speech becomes more serious, thoughtful, and impactful. You may naturally avoid unnecessary talking, and your words may carry authority. People may trust you more because Saturn gives maturity in expression. Uttara Bhadrapada adds a healing quality, meaning Capricorn individuals may counsel others through their words, sometimes without trying. This transit supports spiritual content, astrology, healing arts, psychology, and philosophy-based teaching or guidance. Travel becomes an important theme too. The third house relates to travel, and Pisces expands movement beyond comfort zones. Saturn, being linked to long-distance duty, can bring travel for career development, responsibilities, or professional expansion. Capricorn individuals may travel away from homeland for longer durations, or spend extended time in unfamiliar settings. Even short travels can increase due to networking and work tasks. But Saturn demands caution. Driving, commuting, and travel safety need attention, especially in unfamiliar places. Recklessness, speeding, and risky travel habits should be avoided. The third house also represents hobbies and talents. Saturn here can bring discipline into creative or spiritual skills. Capricorn individuals may start taking hobbies seriously and shaping them into real skill development. This can include writing, music, designing, filmmaking, or spiritual disciplines like mantra, meditation, and astrology. Uttara Bhadrapada supports mystical exploration, but Saturn ensures that effort becomes stable and long-term instead of a temporary fascination. This is a strong time for discovering hidden talent and building a future path through it. Business growth is strongly indicated because the third house is entrepreneurship, initiative, and enterprise. Capricorn individuals may begin planning a business venture or expanding an existing one. But Saturn will not allow impulsive action. Growth must be built step by step. You need systems, structure, long-term strategy, and improved communication skills. Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada favors business connected to counseling, healing, education, spirituality, research, writing, advisory work, or service-based guidance. Even in practical business fields, success depends on wisdom, ethics, and sustainable planning, not greed. This transit can also bring focus on younger siblings, as the third house rules them. Saturn may create responsibilities or concerns related to a sibling's health, stress, delays, or life challenges. Emotional distance is also possible due to travel or responsibilities. Saturn often creates separation but also duty. Capricorn individuals may act as protector or guide for siblings. Mithra Bhadrapada adds compassion, so the support may be emotional, spiritual, and practical. Saturn in the third house can challenge willpower and courage. Capricorn is naturally hardworking, but Saturn tests inner motivation. Some days may feel heavy or mentally exhausting. You may question whether effort is worth it. This is where Saturn rewards persistence. The third house is where effort becomes destiny. If Capricorn individuals stay consistent and disciplined, Saturn will create powerful long-term success. Progress may be slow, but it becomes permanent. Illusions around networking, communication, and self-effort will face reality. You will clearly see what works and what does not. Certain strategies or communication habits may be dropped. Saturn removes weakness from your effort. Mithra Bhadrapada also cleanses spiritually, meaning you may stop chasing validation and become internally anchored. You stop performing and start building. Overall, Saturn's transit through Mithra Bhadrapada in the third house is one of the most constructive phases for Capricorn individuals. It strengthens courage, builds skills, matures communication, and pushes you towards self-made success through disciplined action. Travel, business planning, deep learning, and responsibility towards siblings become key themes. Most importantly, it transforms you internally, making you quieter but stronger, less reactive but more powerful. By the end, Capricorn individuals gain not just skills, but inner authority, and that becomes the real foundation of success. For Aquarius, Saturn is the most important planet in your chart because it rules both your first house, Aquarius, and 12th house, Capricorn. This means Saturn directly shapes your identity, mindset, physical vitality, confidence, life path, and karmic direction, while also governing foreign lands, isolation, spirituality, expenses, sleep, losses, closures, and liberation. When such a Saturn transits Pisces in your second house and enters Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, life becomes centered on survival themes: wealth, savings, family stability, speech, values, and emotional maturity around resources. This is a deeply karmic transit because Saturn is your first house lord, and now it reshapes your sense of self through money management and family responsibility. The second house represents accumulation. It rules wealth, savings, food habits, speech, family culture, and what you value enough to protect. Saturn's entry into this house brings seriousness about finances. Aquarius individuals may feel that money can no longer be treated casually. There is a growing need to secure resources, save consistently, and plan long-term. Saturn may make you feel that maintaining financial stability requires more effort than before. This pressure is intentional. Saturn strengthens you by forcing discipline, realistic budgeting, and responsible decision-making. The most important influence here is Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Uttara Bhadrapada is a moksha nakshatra connected to liberation, inner maturity, spiritual awakening, and karmic closure. It is calm, wise, and deeply introspective. So, even though Saturn is transiting your money house, this phase is not only about income. It transforms your relationship with money itself. Aquarius individuals may begin detaching from wasteful desires, emotional spending, and the urge to impress others. The symbol of Uttara Bhadrapada, the back legs of a funeral cot, represents release after endings. In the second house, this shows karmic endings tied to old financial habits, unhealthy family expectations, or emotional dependence on security. A new, more stable financial identity begins to form. Because Saturn also rules your 12th house, expenses remain important. Aquarius individuals may face unavoidable spending on family health, education, travel, legal matters, insurance, or long-term responsibilities. Spiritual expenses or foreign-related costs may also increase. Saturn ruling the 12th and sitting in the second creates a balanced lesson. You must learn how to save while still managing necessary expenses. Resistance creates stress. Acceptance creates stability. With patience, you can slowly build wealth even under pressure. This transit strongly pushes Aquarius individuals to create new financial strategies. Budgets must be realistic. Luxury expenses should be reduced. Impulsive buying must stop. Saturn does not reward quick money schemes or risky speculation. It rewards consistency, steady income, systematic savings, and long-term planning. This is a foundation-building phase. If handled well, it can create financial security that lasts for years. If ignored, Saturn can create scarcity as a lesson. Loans, gambling tendencies, and speculative risks should be avoided. Family matters become heavy but important. The second house represents family, and Saturn here can bring stress or responsibility within the family unit. Aquarius individuals may feel duty-bound toward elders or relatives. There may be illness, financial strain, or emotional coldness in family relationships. Saturn makes family life practical rather than emotionally comforting. Uttara Bhadrapada adds compassion and wisdom, allowing Aquarius individuals to become the stable pillar of the family, someone who carries responsibility quietly and maturely. Speech also changes. Saturn in the second house makes speech serious and restrained. Aquarius individuals may speak less, but words carry weight. At times, speech can become blunt or strict, especially under stress. This transit teaches that words create karma. Harsh speech can damage family bonds, while mature speech can heal. Uttara Bhadrapada carries counselor energy, making this a strong phase for teaching, advising, consulting, counseling, and communication-based work, especially connected to spiritual or healing themes. Diet and health habits shift as well. The second house governs food. Saturn here can bring restriction or the need for dietary discipline. Pisces' influence can create emotional eating if stress increases. Aquarius individuals must avoid escapism through food. Uttara Bhadrapada supports cleansing and purification, making this a good time for mindful eating, fasting, detox routines, and disciplined lifestyle changes. A key relationship theme comes from Saturn being 8th from the 7th house, which can create transformation in marriage or partnerships. Shared finances, partners' family matters, or emotional security issues may surface. Aquarius individuals may feel distance in relationships due to responsibility or financial pressure. This does not automatically indicate separation, but it does demand maturity. Relationships based on attraction alone may struggle. Relationships built on loyalty, shared values, and dharma can strengthen through this phase. Because Saturn is also your first house lord, this transit reshapes self-worth. Many Aquarius individuals link confidence to financial stability. Saturn in the second teaches that self-worth must remain steady regardless of financial ups and downs. Uttara Bhadrapada teaches detachment. You learn to stay grounded even when resources feel limited. This transit often makes Aquarius individuals more minimalist, spiritually inclined, and less interested in status display. Peace, inner freedom, and meaningful living become more important than luxury. The spiritual dimension is strong. Saturn rules your 12th house of moksha, and Uttara Bhadrapada is also a moksha nakshatra. Spiritual practice becomes a stabilizing force. Meditation, prayer, mantra, charity, service, and inner reflection can help manage stress around money and family. Saturn teaches that wealth grows when karma is clean. Discipline, honesty, humility, and service keeps Saturn supportive. Overall, Saturn's transit through Uttara Bhadrapada in the second house is a major karmic lesson for Aquarius individuals. It brings focus on wealth, savings, speech, and family responsibility, while purifying your attachment to money and security. Stress and restriction are possible, but so is lasting stability. By the end of this transit, Aquarius individuals can become more disciplined, mature, spiritually grounded, and financially steady. Saturn here is not only teaching you how to earn, but how to live wisely. For Pisces, Saturn rules your 11th house, Capricorn, and 12th house, Aquarius, the houses of gains, fulfillment of desires, income, networks, endings, isolation, spirituality, foreign lands, and liberation. When such a Saturn transits your first house, the impact is direct and unmistakable. This is not a background influence. It is a life-defining transit. And with Saturn moving through Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, one of the most spiritually evolved nakshatras, the theme becomes clear: awakening, karmic correction, and realignment with your true life path. The first house represents your identity, physical body, mindset, confidence, decisions, and overall direction in life. Saturn's transit here often feels heavy because it removes illusions about who you are and how you live. Pisces individuals may feel life slowing down externally, while internally everything is being restructured. You may become quieter, more serious, and more introspective. Superficial social engagement may feel exhausting or pointless. Saturn's core question during this transit is uncomfortable but essential. Are you living in alignment with your truth? If not, Saturn will gradually push you toward correction, sometimes gently, sometimes through pressure. The role of Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra makes this transit extraordinary. Uttara Bhadrapada is associated with liberation, enlightenment, inner maturity, Kundalini energy, and karmic completion. Its symbol, the back legs of a funeral cot, represents the end of an old identity rather than physical loss. For Pisces individuals, this means the quiet dissolution of a false self. Old habits, roles, ambitions, and ways of defining yourself may fade away. You may realize that many things you once pursued were based on conditioning rather than purpose. This phase can feel confusing at first, but it is ultimately freeing. Because Saturn also rules your 12th house, themes of detachment, solitude, withdrawal, and spiritual retreat become strong. Pisces individuals may feel a natural urge to step back from noise, crowds, and unnecessary obligations. Solitude may feel nourishing rather than lonely. Foreign lands, long-distance travel, or extended time away from your birthplace can become important, often for growth rather than comfort. Even without physical relocation, there will be emotional distance from your past identity. Saturn here teaches you how to let go without fear. Since Saturn also rules your 11th house, your relationship with gains, income, and desires changes. Material ambition may reduce internally. You may still work, but the motivation shifts. Pisces individuals may question whether money, status, or recognition truly matter. Certain income sources or social connections may naturally fall away if they no longer align with your evolving values. Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada does not deny gains, but it removes ego-driven desires. What remains is income connected to purpose, service, and long-term sustainability. Health and vitality require serious attention. Saturn in the first house can reduce physical energy, increase fatigue, or highlight long-standing health issues. These may not be dramatic, but they can become chronic if ignored. Pisces individuals must become disciplined about routines, sleep, diet, exercise, and mental health. Pisces is highly sensitive, and Uttara Bhadrapada increases that sensitivity. Emotional stress can directly impact the body. Relationships go through a major test because Saturn directly aspects the 7th house. This can bring emotional distance, pressure, or coldness in partnerships. Pisces individuals may feel that relationships demand more effort, or that partners do not fully understand their internal transformation. Dependency-based relationships struggle during this transit. Bonds built on fantasy, emotional escape, or over-idealization may feel restrictive. Relationships based on realism, patience, and shared responsibility can mature and stabilize. During this phase, self-discovery takes priority over relationship validation. Again and again, Saturn brings your focus back to yourself. Expenses and losses also need care, since Saturn rules the 12th house. Pisces individuals may spend on health, travel, spiritual practices, or unavoidable responsibilities. Some losses may be symbolic rather than financial, such as giving up certain comforts, roles, or lifestyles. Saturn teaches that loss is not punishment but correction. What leaves your life now is no longer required for your growth. Financial discipline remains important, because Saturn rewards responsibility even in deeply spiritual phases. Career and life direction undergo deep transformation. Pisces individuals may feel uncertain, disconnected, or dissatisfied with their current professional role. This is not failure. It is realignment. Saturn in the first house asks you to build a life that reflects who you truly are, not who you were expected to be. Many Pisces individuals may move toward healing, counseling, teaching, research, spiritual work, charity, or service-oriented paths. Others may stay in the same profession but with a completely changed approach. By the time Saturn completes its journey through Pisces, your career identity is likely to look very different. Psychologically, this transit can feel lonely. Saturn in the first house often reduces external support so inner strength can develop. Pisces individuals may feel misunderstood or emotionally isolated at times. Uttara Bhadrapada offers the remedy, inner awakening. Meditation, prayer, silence, spiritual study, and self-inquiry become essential tools, not optional ones. This is a period where Pisces individuals may ask why they are here and begin finding real answers through lived experience rather than theory. Illusions around life itself face reality. Pisces naturally leans toward idealism and escapism, and Saturn in Uttarabhadrapada removes escapism completely. You begin to see people, situations, and yourself with clarity. This clarity can initially feel painful, but it is deeply liberating. Saturn here is not punishing you. It is refining you. Overall, Saturn's transit through Uttarabhadrapada in the first house is one of the most important awakenings for you. It restructures identity, tests health and relationships, purifies desires, and redirects life toward authenticity. By the time Saturn leaves Pisces, many Pisces individuals will not just have a different life. They will be a different person, more grounded, more aware, more honest, and far closer to their true path than ever before. As we conclude this episode, please keep in mind that these insights are based on the sidereal zodiac system used in Vedic astrology, which differs from the tropical system by approximately 24 degrees. These are general predictions. The real impact depends on your dasha cycles and your individual birth chart. For a personalized analysis or consultation, feel free to reach out. If you found this video valuable, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And now, you can also hype this video to boost it within the community. Your support helps this knowledge reach more people who may benefit. Thank you for watching. Stay aware, keep learning, and keep shining bright.